actually got his picture on it here now. Last time I was on, it was good. Brenda's sick. I got an email from her today. Good afternoon. I'd like to call the meeting to order. I want to note that we do have a quorum with 5 people, so we're going to be able to conduct business tonight. I'm sorry that we've got some absentees. I did hear from Andrea and also from Red Overman and Linda as well. So we're it for tonight. I do want to remind you of a couple of things. One is that we've got a number of presentations tonight, and one of the things that we want to do is to make sure that while we want to be responsive to questions from the floor, we also want to make sure that we do it in the proper way, and that either is at the front of the meeting or the end of the meeting. So please, if you have any questions or otherwise, please write those down, and you'll have an opportunity at the end in our public comment period to ask those. But we don't want to be interrupted during the actual course of our meeting. With that said, I'd like to call for approval of the minutes from the January 2019 meeting. People have had those. Are there any changes, additions, corrections? Is there a motion then to approve the minutes as published? Second. All in favor? Then they stand approved as published. Donna did. Okay. Tonight, what we're going to do, we've altered the agenda just a little bit. Jorge and I are going to give you an update on where Animal Services stands after 3 years of county leadership. And he's going to do the first half of the presentation. I'm going to have an opportunity to do the second. As a preamble to this, we've done quite a bit of work going back and looking at the policies that were in place, all the policies that are. The data that you'll be seeing is consistent with the policies in place starting in 2016. The data has been cross-checked against state data, which is an interesting thing because there's certain things the state asks for that is not totally complete. And so we'll talk a little bit about that. So you're going to see 2 sets of data tonight. You're going to see the data of the shelter, which is really the more, I think, meaningful data in terms of how we are measuring our progress here in Guilford County. And then you're going to see some data against state data, which I'm going to present, which talks about how we stack up against comparable counties in the state. And I think you're going to find the presentation to be really informative. Jorge, is there anything you'd like to add before you start? No. I do, and I apologize for that. Ms. Wilcox, you were on the list if you'd like to come to the podium.
Alrighty. Thank you. I got some show and tell, and I'm gonna try to be short because I know we all have presentations. So, y'all know I come to these meetings every month.
Thank you.
And I am one that always, sorry, I'm not sure, I didn't turn off enough. I apologize. I always complain about Facebook not being used. And as y'all know, I'm sure everyone's heard of Tommy the dog from Richmond County who got burned. That's on my first picture where their website actually shared it. And it's had over 22,000 shares. And then they posted a thank you because the citizens stood up and wanted to help. And they said they got so many donations, they're gonna be able to cover other animals. And they also had so many offers for people that wanted to fund a reward to find the people responsible. Tommy reminded me of Susie, which brought me to Susie's spot and had me thinking. So I went to go look, and the next picture is this dog. I don't know who this dog is. I saw him on Instagram, and he's a Guilford County. He was tagged as Guilford County on January 15th. And he's nowhere on our website. And in a way, it sort of made me angry because as Richmond County shows, if you ask the public, they want to help. They want to stand up. If you need donations, they want to give. And it's like our shelter is not asking for that. Especially, well, not on Facebook, that I could find. My second point was, which made me very angry, is our website, instead of showing our own dogs, decided to share Randolph County. And I'm sorry that this dog was lost and one was found in Randolph County. And it's not a problem of helping Randolph County find their lost pets, but we don't show Guilford counties. There's not one Guilford County lost or dog that's been shown on the Guilford County Animal Services website. Yet in a week, we had 2 from Randolph County. And to me, that seems to be a problem. Which brings me to Molly. Poor Molly has been there since November 5th. And nobody put her picture, her story, or anything on Facebook. But we had time to share a lost dog in Randolph County who technically had rabies tags that could be traced to the owner, but was also at a vet's office. So it was clearly safe and was not going to be put down. Whereas Molly right now is being evaluated for behavior to be put down. And finally, just because it's Valentine's Day, and I wanted to end on a happy note, I always compare us and our pictures to Rockingham County. And that's, you know, you can see they got 288 shares on their photographs where a professional does it. And I know several professional photographers has offered their services for free at Guilford and were either never contacted or said their services wasn't needed. And as a citizen, I say their services are needed. And I want our Facebook to be as good as every surrounding county there is. And I've been here a year and a half, almost every month complaining about this. And I think it's time that we do something about it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
So Carl and I wanted to put some information together for what has happened in 2018. So not only just data, but just what we accomplished. So of course I came on board January 2nd. In April we started doing we responded to the tornado that hit Greensboro, and we set up the first ever temporary cohabitated shelter within the Red Cross shelter. So we set up a temporary housing unit so that way the folks that were at the Red Cross Center, they could care for their own animals. So we had the animal control officer there stationed around the clock to supervise the equipment and make sure everybody was staying safe, but the owners themselves provided care. So that reduced the stress on those animals having been transported because we didn't have space at the shelter at the time to care for those animals. In April, we passed the first inspection in a very long time, so that was exciting and the direction we were heading. June and August, we hosted 2 large adoption events, which was clear the shelters and free the shelters. We were approximately a little bit over 200 animals were adopted during those 2 events. September, we responded to Hurricane Florence. We assisted Carteret County. It was a memorandum of understanding and agreement between both Carteret County and Guilford County that we would provide not only personnel, but we took close to about 30,000 pounds of pet food, pet supplies that was needed on the ground for them to be able to run their temporary shelter. We had teams on the ground there for about 10 days. We were there. Then October, we had Michael, did something similar. We did hand out some donations out to the affected counties. We did go back to Carteret, but mostly focused on staying within Guilford County, and we did the same thing we did during the tornado. We set up the shelter temporarily next to the Red Cross shelter here. And then I think that was in June, July, I can't remember exactly when the new facility was approved by the commissioners. And I know I have that further down on the agenda, but just to let everyone know, last night with the zoning meeting, with the zoning committee with the county and we needed to rezone the property that was purchased by the county about a year and a half ago. So that property's been rezoned. So now we got the clear, it was a unanimous decision from the rezoning board, so we can continue to start moving forward again. So we've kind of put a pause on the design and moving forward, waiting for this process to happen, so now we're back on track. Working on strengthening our community partnerships, that was something that just did not exist. There were some partnerships there, and there's still partnerships today, that some of our partners, especially on the medical side, do not want to be recognized as partners with Guilford County Animal Services. They still help us, but they're kind of just in the shadows helping us out. So we're working on trying to strengthen those relationships, not only with our adoption partners, but with our medical community in the county. We were awarded 2 Maddie's Funds Innovative Grants. One is for the outreach project, which we named or titled the Gate City Pet Project, which is getting us out to the community, very targeted, and figuring out why animals are being surrendered. We're using our GIS data, which is right, the next one, based on the mapping and the information that we've been able to collect. That has given us the opportunity to identify those hotspots so we can focus on those areas based on all the calls that we've been receiving for the last 3 years, or calls for service. With that, also the other fund we got was to be able to hire a social media consultant on a part-time basis. So that grant was approved, or the funds were accepted by the commissioners last month. So now we're moving forward with getting that individual on board to start helping us as a consultant with our social media. We were given a large donation of 100 cat traps, and we shared those cat traps with other partner organizations that work with TNR programs, especially with our community cats. So we donated some of those cat traps, not the cats, but we donated the cat traps to these organizations so they can continue their efforts with the TNR, because at the end, that does help us reduce the numbers that are actually coming into the shelter. The new vehicles that came in, we've updated our computers on the trucks. The adoption trailer, which is the companion animal support trailer, which was a Homeland Security grant through Emergency Management and Davidson County. Currently, there's only 10 of those trailers in the state. There's more right now currently being manufactured, but that trailer serves 2 purposes. That trailer is an emergency response trailer during emergencies, disasters, but it also serves as a mobile adoption trailer. We'll be hosting our first mobile adoption off-site event on the 23rd of this month in Oak Ridge. And then the hotspot analysis is pretty much tied into the Maddie's Fund and the GIS mapping. Again, just getting us focused into the community, getting to the community first and trying to figure out, identify, getting to meet the families where they're at, getting to identify what are the challenges with these animals and the families and why are they coming into the shelter, so we can start addressing those issues.